Hey guys! So, the past couple weeks I've shown you how to make some really awesome sweet things, but I know some of you much prefer salty things. So, I'm going to show you how to make today my favorite way to make bruschetta. If you don't know what bruschetta is where you have bread with tomatoes and delicious basil and sometimes even cheese on top, all baked in the oven until it's a little bit toasty, and it is delicious. So, for this recipe, this is what you will need. You will need a nice red ripe tomato, or two. You will need a small white onion, some basil, salt, olive oil, garlic powder, your favorite bread. This is my favorite bread, has pesto on it, and some mozzarella cheese. Okay? So, let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is prepare my vegetables. So I'm going to start by cutting my tomato into nice small little pieces. Make sure, kids, if you are doing this, that you are using the help of an adult because knives can be dangerous. Always cut around the top of it as you do not want that part. Okay? I'm going to cut this into nice little squares. Preferably the littler the better. Pieces about like this. Okay? And I'm going to place them into a bowl. So I'm going to cut all of my tomato, and I'm going to cut about half of my onion into also little diced pieces, and then I'm going to put them into my bowl. The next thing I'm going to do, once I have my tomato and onion prepared, is I'm going to add the salt so it can start to really bring out the flavor. I'm just going to add 2 to 3 little shakes of salt, depending on the size of my tomato. I'm going to do the same thing with my garlic powder, just gently coating the top, and I'm also going to give a small drizzle of the olive oil right around the top. My next thing I'm going to do is prepare my basil. Now some people prefer to put an entire leaf of basil on top of each slice of bread, but we're going to chop ours up and put it into our tomato and onion. So you want to start by picking off each individual leaf. If you do not have fresh basil and you would rather use a jar of ground basil, that will work as well. Your flavor just won't be quite as strong. Fresh basil is delicious. So I'm going to use about 6 or 7 leaves of basil. Lay them gently on top of each other. And then I'm going to cut them nice and finely. I'm just going back and forth with this. I'm going to switch directions. Getting into nice little pieces. Okay. If some of them have stayed in strips, that's totally fine. I'm going to then add this to my tomato and onion. And you can use your knife you've been cutting with, or you can use a spoon. You just want to gently mix those together. How beautiful it looks. Okay. If you want to add more basil or more tomato or more onion, that's totally up to you. The ratio is however you would like it. Next, I'm going to prepare my bread. Right before I prepare it, I'm going to turn on my oven to 170 degrees Celsius or about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. That way it is ready as soon as I am done slicing my bread. I recommend you choose more of a French style baguette when making your bruschetta, but if you only have rolls or something else, that will be fine. When you go to slice your bread, you want to make it no larger than 1 inch thick, okay? So about 1 finger, no thicker than that, okay? So after you make each slice, you want to then place them onto a baking sheet, just like this, in rows. So you can probably have about 12 to 16 on your baking sheet. I'm going to show you what happens once I have it ready to go. So I now have my bread ready to go. There's a few different ways I can do this. First, I want to take a spoon and I'm going to start putting some of this mixture on top of my breads. Okay. Just like this. So that's one way to do it. If you have someone in your family who does not like tomato, another option is you can also just put the basil leaf straight on top with a little olive oil and cheese, and it will still taste delicious. So we'll continue here. Putting it on top, if a little bit falls off, it's totally fine. It's a very fresh and healthy snack, and or you could eat this with a meal. So I'm going to finish putting this on top of it and then show you what to do next. The final thing I'm going to do in here before I put this into the oven is I'm going to take some mozzarella cheese. I'm going to cut slices of it into fourths, and I'm going to place 1/4 slice on top of each of mine. After I've done this, I'm then going to place them in the oven for approximately 6 to 7 minutes, just until the cheese is melted, and then I'm going to remove them and enjoy. So guys, when you are done, you should have your bruschetta looking nice and toasty, just like these. Let them cool, and then pick them up, just like this. Bite into them and enjoy.